Okay, let me share. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know where Belize was either. I was just like, where's Belize? Okay, there it is. There we go. There's Belize. Okay, Belize is a Caribbean country located on the northeastern coast of Central America. Belize is bordered on the north by Mexico, on the east by the Caribbean Sea, and on the south of the western Guatemala. Here we go. Guatemala, Mexico. Okay, let me change this color. Hold on. I'll take a deeper color. I'll do pink. Mexico, Guatemala, here's Belize. And then here's Honduras. And I watched that video. Somebody placed a video on Honduras inequality in the chat. That was really, it's very sad.
I missed that one in WhatsApp.
The women, yeah, in WhatsApp, the injustices in Honduras for women. It's like voted the worst place for women to be. Anyway, okay. Okay, it has an area of 8,867 square miles, population of 419,000 in 2020. Its mainland is about 180 miles long, 68 miles wide. Its capital is Belmopan, and its largest city is Belize City. So here we go. Venezuela's here, United States, Belize is right there. It's very beautiful tropical, really nice people, really. Oh, and here's the Mayan temples and stuff. Okay, so people in Belize. Okay, here's a short video, sorry. Just gotta stop the recording. Okay, that was a good little history there. LGBT rights in Belize. In 2016, the Belize Supreme Court became the first Commonwealth Caribbean court to hold that laws that criminalize same-sex intimacy were unconstitutional, affirming the rights of LGBT people in Belize to dignity, privacy, and equality before the law. The Court of Appeals reaffirmed the ruling in December 2019, stating unequivocally that the constitutional prohibition of sex discrimination includes discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. However, in 2020, the government of Belize has withdrawn the Equal Opportunity Bill from this year's session of the National Assembly after church leaders objected to the government placing the civil rights of gays and lesbians above the rights of religious believers. Because Belize is essentially a Catholic country. Bishop Wright, the Catholic country, and the National Association of Evangelicals opposed the bill as written, however, saying the way it was drafted would be to subordinate religious liberties to the whims of a government tribunal. A statement made by the country's Catholic bishops said that the bill introduced the notion that humanity has 3 sexes instead of 2. The notion that objective gender identity is more important than one's own God-given biological sex, and that it would impose on Belizeans the task of gender mainstreaming. Even though we live in a globalized world these days, these new sexual doctrines do not resonate with us in Belize and may put in danger the family structure ordained by God. Evangelical leaders had also objected to the new colonialism of outsiders from European and Northern American dictating their ethical standards on Belizean society. Anglican church leaders endorsed protecting the rights and liberties of gays and lesbians, but not at the expense of redefining human sexuality, the family, and gender. While religious groups would have their views protected under the bill, individuals would lose the liberty of conscience and be subjected to the dictates of an equality commission that would seek to re-educate them to accept same-sex marriage and transgenderism. The majority of Belizeans are Roman Catholic. However, due to the heavy British influence, Belize has a larger Protestant population than any of the country in Central America. The Maya and the Garifuna practice their own mixture of traditional shamanism and Christianity. So I thought that was really interesting, you know, how they see here that they only believe in two genders and not three. Man and woman, that's it. So everything else in between and outside, no rights. It shouldn't, well, you can have rights, but it shouldn't supersede the rights of male and female. That's basically what they're saying. It's the language that they want to change. So this is the,
It sounds like what they're saying is anything outside of male or female doesn't exist.
yes, they want it to be. They want it to be that way, yes. And here's the Catholicism, 40%. And you have other religions, no religion, and then all these others. Here's Seventh-day Adventists, 5.4. Pentecostals, 8%. Okay, women's rights in Belize. Globally, some progress on women's rights have been achieved. In 2016, 64.5% of women of reproductive age, 15 to 49 years old, had their need for family planning satisfied with modern methods. However, work still needs to be done in Belize to achieve gender equality. 33.5% of women aged 20 to 24 years old were married or in a union before age 18. The adolescent birth rate is 58.2% per 1,000 women aged 15 to 19% as of 2019, down from 65.4% for every 1,000 in 2018. As of February 2020, only 12.5% of seats in Parliament were held by women. As of December 2020, only 36.9% of indicators needed to monitor the SDGs, which means Sustainable Development Goals, from a gender perspective were available, with gaps in key areas in particular: violence against women, unpaid care and domestic work, and information and communication technology skills. In addition, many areas such as gender and poverty, physical and sexual harassment, women's access to assets, including land, gender, and environment, lack regular monitoring. Closing these gender data gaps is essential for achieving gender-related SDG commitments in Belize. The women do not have a lot of say in Belize. It's not a lot of equality. The annual 200,000 strong women rally under the theme Nurturing the Next Generation in Belize City on Friday, March 16, 2018, the 20,000 strong movement serves as a way to showcase the many roles that women play in society and a reminder that 50% of the population cannot be ignored. There's a lot of inequality in Belize. Human trafficking in Belize. Recently, Belize has received classification on the Tier 2 watch list for human trafficking. Here's the Tier 2, here's the tiers. The watch list for human trafficking. Tier 1 means countries and territories fully comply with the Act's minimum standards. Tier 2 means that countries and territories do not fully comply with the Act's minimum. And here are them. The estimated number of victims of severe forms of trafficking is very significant or is significantly increasing, and the country is not taking proportionate concrete actions, and there is a failure to provide evidence of increasing efforts to combat severe forms of trafficking in persons from previous year. That's Tier 2 watch. Tier 3 means countries and territories whose governments do not fully comply with the minimum standards and are not making significant efforts to do so. So Belize is in Tier 2. However, the country is paying attention to human trafficking in Belize amidst the global COVID-19 pandemic. Its government is actively employing new strategies to relinquish this human rights violation. The main targets of human trafficking in Belize are women and children. Trafficking often lure them into trafficking with promises of gainful employment. As of April 2021, the government of Belize actively investigated and arrested traffickers, made sustained efforts to identify trafficking victims, provided services to all identified victims, trained prison officials on victim identification, and investigated a police officer accused of complicity in a case. However, the government did not initiate any new prosecutions, establish a national labor recruiter registry, or investigate or prosecute any alleged child sex tourist despite ongoing concerns. There is some evidence to suggest that Salvadoran and Guatemalan-based transnational criminal organizations provide logistic support to international drug and human trafficking organizations and use Belize as a transit country along smuggling routes. It's really bad in Belize, really bad. Okay, these are the findings on the worst forms of child labor. Children in Belize engage in the worst forms of child labor, including in commercial sexual exploitation, sometimes as a result of human trafficking. Children also perform dangerous tasks in agriculture. Among Belize's ethnic groups, Mennonites had the highest percentage of child labor, with approximately 9.5% of Mennonite children engaged in child labor. Non-Mennonite children are also engaged in child labor on Mennonite-owned land. Children working on Mennonite land often use dangerous tools like machetes, tractors, and plows, and work long hours in the sun without proper hydration. Children in Belize are also engaged in child labor in diving and fishing for fish, lobster, and conch. Many of these children cannot swim and have been injured working with dangerous tools such as anchors, fish traps, chipping hammers, and spears. Girls from impoverished communities and LGBT children are particularly vulnerable to commercial sexual exploitation and labor trafficking in Belize. Children are trafficked for commercial sexual exploitation in areas frequented by tourists or seasonal workers, including oil truckers and citrus workers. Reports also indicate that teenage boys aged 12 to 17 from Belize City and San Pedro town were recruited to transport and sell drugs. Now, this is so sad, the children having to, this is slave labor for children. It's just horrible. Okay, abortion in Belize. Abortion in Belize is considered a criminal offense, except when performed by a registered medical practitioner under certain conditions. The sentence for performing an illegal abortion in Belize is life imprisonment. Abortion is permitted under the following circumstances: to protect the life of the mother, to protect the physical or mental health of the mother or an existing children of her family, and if there is substantial risk that the child will be severely handicapped. In addition, the law states that account may be taken of the pregnant woman's actual or reasonable foreseeable environment, suggesting that abortions can be performed on socioeconomical grounds. Belize does not provide an explicit exception for pregnancies that are the result of rape or incest. So there's Belize right there, that little speck. Hold on. Let's just hold on just a second here. I'm gonna fix this. Okay. Okay. Belize has one of the highest per capita murder rates in the world. I couldn't believe that. The U.S. Department of State has assessed Belmopan, which is the capital of Belize, as being a high threat location for crime directed at or affecting official U.S. government interests. There is no indication that criminal activity targeted U.S. citizens in Belize. Tourists and expatriates residing in Belize are more susceptible to incidents of crime due to perceived wealth, particularly when not practicing robust personal security practices and situational awareness. The concentration of major crimes continues to shift from the high population area of Belize City to districts in the north, west, and south of Belize. A number of violent crimes, including multiple murders, thefts, and home invasions, affected longtime expatriates residing in rural communities in 2019. Belize is ranked as the most likely Caribbean country where a tourist could get robbed or even killed while visiting. So it's definitely not a tourist attraction over there. Oh gosh. You bite the hand that feeds you. But anyway, it's a real poor country. It's a beautiful country, but it's poor, and people, you know, they're just they just don't know what they're doing.
Like a lot of missionaries go there. Is that?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Because there's so much, the people's mindset really has to be changed. You know, the way they, I mean, when you're robbing and killing your tourist, that's pretty extreme. I mean, you're biting the hand that feeds you, basically.
So the Mennonites were there.
And the Mennonites, that was pretty interesting how the Mennonites, well, I could say a lot about the Mennonites, but
also there was a documentary where they were leaving there, going all the way to Peru, way back out in the hills of Peru.
yeah,
They were leaving Belize.
yeah. Some of the biggest puppy mills in the country, in our country, are owned by Mennonites. Despicable puppy mills. Anyway, okay. Corruption in Belize is out of control. In the 1970s, when Belize was still a British colony, and I was a police officer. This is a police officer writing a little excerpt on the internet, and I thought it was very interesting, so I included it. I was a police officer. Our country had a director of public prosecution office, an audit department, and a police department that worked hand in hand together on all matters of stealing as a government employee, bribes, corruption, extortion, forgery, fraud, uttering conversions, embezzlement, and other crimes that government officials and civil servants committed. In those days, most of the civil servants that were arrested, prosecuted, and sent to prison for these crimes were employees from the post office, customs, and police department. Since our independence in 1981, some of our civil servants are still committing these crimes boldly, and nothing is being done to them because of their political affiliation with UDP and PUP. That's the political party. The Prime Minister and his ministers in Belize are above the law, and none of them have been arrested, charged, and sent to prison for any of these crimes that they have committed over the years. Why? Because the people that have the power to arrest, charge, prosecute, and send them to prison are the same people that they appoint into their positions, and they serve at their pleasure. These are the Attorney General, Commissioner of Police, the Director of Public Prosecution, magistrates, and judges. All of these individuals are loyal to the Prime Minister and serve for them and not the citizens of the country. If a person is arrested for a crime in Belize, the Prime Minister or one of his ministers can call the Inspector of Police and ask him to release that person from prison. This is something that police officers, members of the Belize Defense Force, and civil servants in most government departments witness regularly and are afraid to speak out due to the fear of victimization from their supervisors. The victimization or retaliations they can receive could be daily harassments, a transfer from the department, refusal or a delay in processing citizen legitimate documents, no promotions, termination from employment, or other unfavorable actions. Sometimes it is not only the civil servants that get punished, but also all their family members. There is a phrase in Belize that goes like this: if you can't catch Harry, you can catch his shirt, meaning that they will find a way to victimize you some way or another. This has been going on in Belize for years now, and if you are a family member, have not experienced this, you are not living in Belize. Belizeans must now report all these victimizations and retaliations to the UN Human Rights Commission as human rights violations to end this practice by corrupt officials in our country. And that was January 29, 2020. So lots of corruption in Belize, really, really, really bad. And that's it. That's the picture of Belize, unfortunately.
Wow.
Any questions, any comments of any of this?
And the stuff with the children is really sad.
Oh God, this is so hard. The children, poor children, you know, they work all day, they don't get paid, or if they do, it's nothing.
It's amazing what humanity can do to humanity.
Yep, yep.
That
And these are the Mennonite farms and Mennonite. Oh gosh.
Are doing that. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
In the name of who?
Yeah,
they're the religious group Mennonites, right?
yeah. It's a religious group.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Um,
I just didn't know of them down there.
they're like the Amish.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know they were out there too, but they are.
Yeah, we saw this documentary, like I mentioned, and some of them are leaving there, going so far out in the hills of Peru and that country right above Peru. It's amazing. They just pack up and they go. They went so far out. Some of the native people are like, where are these people going? I mean, they were just trucking
Yeah, because
way up in the hills.
they go out into like these isolated. They want to be isolated from the world because they think the world. They don't want to be, you know, linked to anybody in the world because they think everybody's, you know, of the world is given over to the devil.
or maybe they just want to hide so they can.
Yeah, they want to hide. Yep.
So they can do what they're doing here. That's.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot. That is talk about women inequality there, man.
Wow.
It's really bad in the Mennonites. But anyway, okay.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's very thorough.
Thank you, Donna.